I'd like to start things off by stating that I admire your recent attempts at establishing an RTI program at the school. I have experience in implementing school-wide initiatives, and I know from that experience that it's a difficult process. I also know that if there isn't a plan and all stakeholders are not completely on board, the initiative will face great difficulty. As you already know, I haven't abandoned the concept of implementing an RTI program at the school. This should be evident in that Pirate Time is still built in the master schedule for this coming year. I feel that it should also be said that I'm not interested in undermining the hard work and effort that has been made by many of you this past year. As a matter of fact, your efforts are going to be a springboard into the development of a new and improved Pirate Time. All I ask is that you have an open mind and not to give too much credit to the things that haven't worked in the past. Nonetheless, I'd like to begin the process of refocusing our energy into a program that we can all be proud of and have a hand in developing. What I'm offering to you through this presentation is simply an idea, a vision. I want you to know that just because it's my idea and my vision, it doesn't mean that it's the right idea or vision for our school. It's simply an idea for you to think about. It's an idea that you should work and rework in your mind so that you can come back in August and offer your ideas and your vision. You may wish to completely abandon this idea, and that's okay. You may wish to accept it in part or as a whole, and that's okay too. Regardless, our first order of business when we all return in August is to formulate a plan that is in the best interest of our learners. Let me take a moment and apply a broad stroke to what I believe RTI, or in our case Pirate Time, can be. Pirate Time can and should be a form of intervention that addresses very specific conceptual learning gaps for very specific learners. It's really that simple. You establish what your learners need to know, identify those learners that have gaps in their learning, you reteach and redirect, you assess their competence, you give them a clean bill of health, and then you set a new goal. You may be thinking that this watered down version of intervention is exactly what you do every day, and this may be true, but let me give you an example that better explains the power of having a Pirate Time. Let's suppose you teach a 7th grade math class. The learning goal is to be able to divide fractions, and you attempt to teach the concept to a class of, let's say, 22 learners. You find that 5 of those learners, no matter how hard you try, they can't grasp the concept of dividing fractions. And being the great teacher that you are, you have one of two choices. A, you stop what you're doing and attempt to reteach and redirect to those 5, while the other 17 are either given the assignment to do on their own while you work with the 5, or B, you move on hoping that the 5 marginal learners somehow get up to speed at some point. This scenario typically plays out every period in every classroom in every school across the country, and I'm pretty sure we're no different. I propose that we begin thinking of a way to identify the 5 marginal learners, provide them an opportunity to work in a small group with their teacher who can present the material in a totally different manner. After all, the marginal learners didn't learn it the first time by the way it was taught. What reason is there that they'll learn it if the concept is taught to them a second, third, or even a fourth time exactly the same as it was the first? So the next logical question is this: how are the marginal learners going to be identified? Well, perhaps we need a mechanism in place that allows teachers to collaborate every week about students whom they share. For example, wouldn't it be ideal to allow the 6th grade teachers to collaborate about learners that they all have in common? And couldn't it also be said that the same value would be there for 5th, 7th, and 8th grade teachers? It is plausible that by having this collaboration time, learning gaps that are evident can be identified earlier by those teachers and addressed so that the 5 marginal learners can catch up, and the teacher can move the whole group to the next concept or the next level a bit faster. So let's see where we're at this point. We have the teachers, we have the learners. We have a dedicated time, pirate time, built into the schedule to address specific conceptual learning gaps, and we also have Common Core plan periods built into the schedule for all grade level teachers. Well, being the snappy teacher that you are, you're probably asking at this point, if we identify learners who need redirection and reteaching and the core teachers are providing that instruction to them during pirate time, what do we do with the students who have not been identified as needing redirection? Well, simply answered, we place them in a very specialized classroom that is taught by a non-core teacher during pirate time. These specialized classes could be called treasure chest classes. For example, every day during pirate time there are two distinct groups of learners. For the sake of conversation, we'll refer to them as deckhands and pirates, although we would probably want to come up with a better name. The deckhands are the learners needing intervention, and the pirates are those who don't. The deckhands would be assigned intervention with the core teacher who has identified them as needing redirection so they can master the division of fractions, and the pirates would attend a treasure chest class such as team sports, model building, aerobics, school spirit club, or whatever the non-core teachers feel they have an aptitude and a passion to teach. So as the deckhands are being redirected, the pirates are experiencing things that we normally wouldn't be able to provide them in a regular course. It's a win-win. The pirates and the deckhands are learning. To put a finer point on things, all students would be assigned 4 treasure chest classes, one for each quarter, to which they would automatically rotate in every quarter. At any time, as core teachers meet, say on Friday during plan period, the deckhands are identified and assigned a specific teacher. All learners are notified before they leave on Friday whether they're going to be a pirate or a deckhand and where they need to report during pirate time for the upcoming week. What's more, a roster would be generated for every pirate and deckhand teacher on Friday afternoon, so they would know in advance who has been placed in their care for the upcoming week. Deckhands would report to a teacher for redirect and reteaching, and pirates would report to their pre-assigned treasure chest class. All learners, regardless of whether they're a pirate or a deckhand, would stay at that assignment for the week, and then the cycle repeats itself for the next Friday. Essentially, deckhands would be phasing in and out of treasure chest class as they become identified by core teachers. If a learner never gets identified as a deckhand, then they'll always be a pirate. If a learner is a deckhand, then their absence away from the treasure chest class would never exceed 2 consecutive weeks, but could be phased back in once they've attended the treasure chest class for at least 1 week. So now comes the question, who's going to manage the names of students that the core teachers are recommending to be deckhands and pirates, and who generates the rosters? Well, the management of this data would be left to the principal or whoever I assign. What is important for you as a teacher is that you're only responsible for 2 things. 1, identify the marginal learners, and 2, reteach or supervise a treasure chest class. If those 2 things occur simultaneously, the program will be a success. However, if a pirate or deckhand teacher is ineffective, the plan falls apart. Essentially, again, 2 things have to happen. 1, deckhands can never feel that they are dummies or slow learners. And 2, pirates have to be fully engaged in an educational activity that's fun. Again, as stated at the start, I offer this only as an idea towards the establishment of a building-wide vision for pirate time. The only thing that I hope to gain from you watching this presentation is that you begin thinking of what our vision is going to be for pirate time. Remember, if at any time you'd like to contact me by phone and run an idea past me, feel free to do so. I really hope you have a great summer, and I really hope you do something fun. But most of all, I look forward to working with you next year.